Imagine Eleni Papadopoulos beaming in her dream Greek wedding gown, only to uncover her fiancé Alex and best friend Sarah's steamy affair through his phone. But instead of crumbling, she masterminded a revenge that turned the reception into a viral spectacle. What happened next? You have to see.
Thanks for this chance, Eliza. I'm sharing how I transformed utter betrayal into my strongest moment, fueled by my Greek roots and refusal to be silenced. Let's dive in. My name is Eleni Papadopoulos, and I thought I was living a fairy tale. At 28, I had everything a Greek-American girl could dream of. A successful career as a marketing director, a gorgeous fiancé who made my yeah swoon, and a wedding that would make the society pages. Born and raised in Chicago, I was as American as deep dish pizza, but my heart beats with the rhythm of my Greek heritage. My long black hair cascaded in waves past my shoulders, and my dark brown eyes, the same ones that had been passed down through generations of strong Greek women, sparkled with anticipation as our big day approached. Alex Dimitriou and I had been together for 3 years. We met at a Greek Orthodox festival in Chicago, where my family had been vendors for decades. He was charming, successful in real estate, and most importantly, he understood our culture. When he proposed at the same festival where we'd met, with both our families watching and the whole community cheering, I felt like I was starring in my own romantic movie. The wedding planning had been intense but joyful. My mother, Maria, threw herself into every detail with the fervor of a woman planning her only daughter's wedding. We booked the grand ballroom at the Fairmont, ordered $50,000 worth of flowers that cost more than my car, and invited 200 guests, including relatives who flew in from Greece just for this day. My maid of honor was Sarah Collins, my best friend since kindergarten at Lincoln Elementary here in Chicago. She wasn't Greek, but she'd been adopted into our family years ago, learning to dance the Kalameshiano and even picking up enough Greek to charm my grandmother. As a little girl growing up in Chicago, I dreamed of my perfect Greek wedding, the Stefana crowns, the dance of Isaiah, the kufita in little tool bags for every guest. My mother had saved for years to give me everything I'd ever dreamed of. Everything was perfect. Too perfect, as I would soon discover. The morning of our wedding dawned crisp and clear, October 15th, a date we'd chosen because it was exactly 3 years after our first date. I woke up in the bridal suite at the Fairmont, surrounded by my bridesmaids and the controlled chaos of final preparations. My hair had been styled into flowing waves with tiny white flowers woven throughout, creating a crown that made me feel like a Greek goddess. Sarah had been acting strange all morning, distant, avoiding eye contact, constantly checking her phone. When I asked if she was okay, she just smiled and said she was nervous about her maid of honor speech. I brushed off my concerns, attributing her behavior to wedding day jitters. An hour before the ceremony, I realized I couldn't find my phone. I needed to text the DJ about a last-minute song change, my grandfather's favorite Greek melody that we'd forgotten to add to the playlist. Alex's phone was sitting on the dresser, charging. Without thinking, I unplugged it to make the call. That's when I saw the notification. A text from Sarah, sent just minutes earlier. "You'd better delete our little album before the wifey sees it. Can't wait to stand by your side today. Hope she never finds out what we've been up to." My hands started shaking. Album? What album? My heart pounded as I navigated to his photos, and there it was, a folder labeled S and A private. My breath caught in my throat as I opened it. Photo after photo of Alex and Sarah together, in hotel rooms, in compromising positions. Sarah wearing the expensive lingerie I'd bought for our honeymoon. The timestamps showed they'd been taken over the past 6 months while I was planning our wedding, while Sarah was helping me choose flowers and taste cakes while she was pretending to be my best friend. The worst photo was a selfie of them kissing in my childhood bedroom, the same room where Sarah had slept over countless times growing up, where we'd planned this very wedding. In the background was the silver picture frame I'd given Alex for his birthday, holding a photo of us from our engagement party. They had defiled the most sacred spaces of my life, turning my own memories into weapons against me. The door to the bridal suite opened, and Alex walked in, beaming and holding 2 glasses of champagne. "To us, my beautiful bride," he said, then stopped dead when he saw his phone in my trembling hands. His eyes went to the screen, and his face went white. For a moment, the only sound was the distant music from the cocktail hour downstairs, where our guests were gathering. "Eleni, baby, I can explain," he started. "Explain what?" My voice was deadly calm, a tone I'd inherited from my mother when she was furious. "Explain how you've been sleeping with my maid of honor. Explain how you've been lying to me for months while I planned our wedding. Explain how you defiled my childhood bedroom with her." He set down the champagne glasses and ran his hands through his hair. "Look, it just happened, okay? It doesn't mean anything. Sarah came to me upset about her breakup with Marcus, and things just got out of hand, but it's over now. We're getting married today. You think this is just going to disappear because we're getting married. Eleni, be reasonable. We have 200 people downstairs. Your parents spent $50,000 on this wedding. My family flew in from Greece. Your grandmother is here. Are you really going to throw all of this away over a mistake?" Then he said the words that sealed his fate. "A real woman would forgive me. This is what marriage is about, working through problems, not running away at the first sign of trouble." A real woman would forgive him. The audacity was breathtaking. I stared at this man I'd planned to spend my life with, seeing him clearly for the first time. He wasn't sorry. He was annoyed that he'd been caught. He thought he could manipulate me into silence with shame and guilt. But I am the granddaughter of Sophia Papadopoulos, who survived the German occupation of Greece and rebuilt her life from nothing. I am the daughter of Maria Papadopoulos, who came to America with nothing and built a successful catering business on Chicago's South Side. I'm a Chicago-born Greek woman who refuses to be anyone's fool. Greek women don't cower. We fight. I took a deep breath and let my expression soften. "You're right," I said quietly. "It's our wedding day. I don't want to ruin it over something like this." Relief flooded his face. "I knew you'd understand. This is why I love you, Eleni. You're smart and practical. Just delete those photos and we'll never speak of this again." I handed him back his phone and even managed a small smile. "Of course, let's go get married." While Alex was in the bathroom, deleting the evidence, though I was sure he was just moving the photos to a different folder, I pulled out my own phone and sent an urgent text to my cousin Nico, a computer programmer who'd helped set up all our wedding technology. He was already stationed in the DJ booth with full remote access to all the audiovisual systems. "Nico, emergency, I'm sending you a folder of photos. The slideshow for the reception, our love story, replace it with these photos instead. Don't ask questions, just do it. Now." I quickly forwarded the entire album to him, my hands steady despite the adrenaline coursing through my veins. Within minutes, he texted back, "Done. What the hell, Eleni? Are you sure about this?" I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Also, can you set up the audio so those text messages display too? I want everyone to see their words. Already on it, this is going to be nuclear. The ceremony was a blur. I walked down the aisle on my father's arm, past the sea of smiling faces, past the elaborate floral arrangements, past the string quartet playing Pachelbel's canon. Alex waited at the altar in his black tuxedo, looking handsome and confident. Sarah stood beside me in her emerald green bridesmaid dress, tears in her eyes as she watched me promise my life to the man she'd been betraying me with. When Father Costas asked if anyone objected to our union, I almost laughed. If only they knew. I said my vows with a clear voice, promising to love and honor Alex. He said his vows, promising to be faithful and true. The irony was so thick I could taste it. When he kissed me, sealing our marriage, I felt nothing but cold determination. I was already planning to file for annulment first thing Monday morning. This farce would be over before the ink dried on the marriage certificate. The cocktail hour passed in a haze of congratulations and photographs. I smiled for every picture, hugged every relative, and played the part of the blushing bride perfectly. Alex stayed close to my side, probably afraid I might change my mind and cause a scene. Sarah gave a touching toast about friendship and loyalty that made several guests tear up. If they only knew. The reception was everything we'd dreamed of. The grand ballroom was transformed into a Greek paradise, with white and gold decorations, olive branches, and hundreds of candles creating a warm, romantic glow. The Stefana crowns from our ceremony sat displayed on the head table, and small bags of kufita, the traditional sugared almonds symbolizing the bitter and sweet of marriage, waited at every place setting. The 20-foot screen at the front of the room displayed our monogram in elegant script. Our families filled the dance floor, and the sound of laughter and traditional Greek music filled the air. During dinner, I sat at the head table between Alex and my father, accepting congratulations and listening to speeches from our families. My father spoke about the importance of trust and honor in marriage, his words hitting me like daggers. Alex's best man told funny stories about their college days. Sarah gave a beautiful speech about how happy she was to see her best friend marry the love of her life. The hypocrisy was suffocating, but I maintained my composure. I was saving my energy for what was coming next. As the dinner plates were cleared away, the DJ announced that it was time for a special presentation, a slideshow celebrating the bride and groom's love story. This was the moment I'd been waiting for. I stood up smoothly, my wedding gown rustling as I moved. The delicate flowers in my hair caught the light from the chandeliers above. Every eye in the room turned to me as I walked to the microphone stand. "Before we start the slideshow," I said, my voice carrying clearly through the ballroom, "I'd like to say a few words." Alex beamed at me from the head table, probably thinking I was about to give a touching speech about our love. Sarah smiled encouragingly from her seat, raising her champagne glass in a small toast. "Thank you all for being here tonight," I began, my voice steady and clear. "It means the world to Alex and me to have our families and friends here to celebrate this special day." I paused, letting my gaze sweep across the room, my aunts and uncles, Alex's business partners, our college friends, my beloved grandparents who traveled from Greece for this day. "Marriage is about many things," I continued. "Trust, honesty, loyalty, respect." With each word, I looked directly at Alex, then at Sarah. It's about knowing who someone really is, not just who they pretend to be. A few guests nodded approvingly, thinking I was building up to a romantic declaration. Alex's smile was starting to look a little uncertain. "In the spirit of honesty," I said, "I've decided to replace our planned slideshow with something a little more authentic. A special presentation I prepared that shows the real story of our relationship." I turned to the DJ booth where Nico was stationed. "Hit it, cousin." The lights dimmed. The elegant monogram on the 20-foot screen faded to black. Alex's face went white as he realized what was about to happen. The first photo appeared on the massive screen. Alex and Sarah in a hotel bed, arms wrapped around each other, both clearly naked under the sheets. A collective gasp echoed through the ballroom. The second photo, Sarah wearing my honeymoon lingerie, posing seductively while Alex took the picture. Several guests audibly gasped. Someone dropped a wine glass. The third photo, the two of them kissing passionately in my childhood bedroom, with the picture of Alex and me clearly visible in the background. Photo after photo flashed across the screen in devastating succession. Hotel rooms, intimate moments, and then came the text messages, displayed in large font for all to read. "She's so clueless," from Sarah. "Can't wait until this circus is over and we can be together," from Alex. "Poor Eleni, planning her perfect wedding while we laugh behind her back." The ballroom fell into stunned silence. I heard my mother's sharp intake of breath. I saw Sarah's face go from confusion to horror to absolute mortification. Alex sat frozen, his mouth hanging open. I could see guests already pulling out their phones, some live streaming, others frantically texting. This was going to be all over social media within minutes. I walked back to the microphone, my heels clicking on the marble floor in the deathly quiet room. "So," I said, my voice cutting through the silence like a blade, "to my husband of approximately 4 hours, I want to thank you for showing me exactly who you are. And to my maid of honor, my supposed best friend Sarah, I hope it was worth it." Sarah had gone completely white. She tried to stand, probably to run, but her legs gave out and she collapsed back into her chair. Alex finally found his voice. "Eleni, please let me explain." "Explain what?" I interrupted, my voice rising slightly. "Explain how you've been sleeping with my best friend for 6 months. Explain how you told me that a real woman would forgive this betrayal. Explain how you thought I was stupid enough to stay silent about this." The room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. 200 guests sat in stunned silence, watching this drama unfold. I saw my father rise from his seat, his face thunderous with rage. My brothers were already moving toward Alex, but I held up a hand to stop them. "No," I said firmly, "this is my moment." I turned back to the crowd. This wedding, as you can see, is over. But my family and I paid $50,000 for this entire celebration, so please enjoy the food, enjoy the open bar, dance your hearts out. Consider this a celebration of freedom and of the fact that some of us refuse to be disrespected and silenced. I looked at Alex one final time. He was pale and shaking, probably calculating how much this public humiliation was going to cost him professionally and socially. "You said a real woman would forgive this," I said, my voice low but carrying in the absolute silence. "Well, here's what a real woman actually does. She exposes the truth and refuses to be anyone's fool." I reached up and carefully removed the crown of flowers from my hair, setting it on the head table like a queen abdicating her throne. "I'm keeping the dress," I announced. "Consider it compensation for the therapy I'm going to need. And don't worry about the annulment papers, you'll be served on Monday." I could hear phones buzzing throughout the room as the story began spreading across social media in real time. By tomorrow, this would be viral. Without another word, I turned and walked toward the exit. My wedding gown trailed behind me like a river of silk and lace, and my long black hair flowed freely down my back. I held my head high, my shoulders straight, every inch the proud Greek woman my grandmother had raised me to be. My family fell into step around me, my parents, my brothers, my aunts and uncles, my cousins. They formed a protective circle as we moved through the ballroom, past the shocked faces and whispered conversations. No one tried to stop us. What could they say? As we reached the doors, I heard the sound of chairs scraping and voices rising. The shock was wearing off, and people were starting to react. I heard someone, probably Alex's mother, crying. I heard angry voices, probably my male relatives confronting Alex, but I didn't look back. Outside the hotel, the cool October air felt like freedom against my skin. My father put his coat around my shoulders and pulled me into a fierce hug. "I'm proud of you, Korimu," he whispered in Greek. "You handled that with more grace than they deserved." My mother was crying, but not from sadness, from fury and pride in equal measure. "That malaka," she spat, using a Greek curse word that would have got me grounded as a child. "How dare he disrespect our family like this?" My phone was buzzing with texts and calls, but I ignored them all. Nico appeared beside us, grinning despite the chaos. "That was the most epic thing I've ever been part of," he said. "The photos are already going viral on social media. Half the wedding guests are posting about it. #WeddingJustice is trending." I laughed for the first time all day, a real, genuine laugh. Good. Let everyone know what kind of man Alex Dimitriou really is. As we drove away from the hotel, I caught a glimpse of myself in the car window. My makeup was still perfect, my hair still beautiful despite losing the flower crown. I looked like exactly what I was, a woman who had just reclaimed her power and her dignity. I never did cry that day. Not when I found the photos, not during the confrontation, not during my public declaration. The tears would come later in private, when I mourned not just the end of my relationship, but the death of my trust in people I'd loved. But in that moment, driving away from the wreckage of what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, I felt nothing but strength. I had chosen truth over comfort, dignity over silence, and self-respect over a false peace. The photos had been meant to humiliate me, to make me the victim of their betrayal. Instead, I had turned them into weapons of truth, exposing Alex and Sarah for exactly what they were. They thought I would cry and beg and forgive. Instead, I had shown them, and everyone else, including the thousands who would see this story online, what a real woman actually does when she's been betrayed. She fights back, and she wins.
Eleni, your unyielding courage is truly remarkable, showing us that embracing truth over forced forgiveness can shatter illusions and reclaim dignity, even in our most vulnerable moments. It's a poignant reminder that anyone can turn betrayal into empowerment. I'm Eliza Quinn, and remember, here on Wedding Day Justice, veils off, justice on.